Find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Springbar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Springbar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike. Today, sitting with my co-host Joe in the OC. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm present. Very present. I'm present.
You should be doing better. Usually we record early morning for you. This is later afternoon. Well, mid-afternoon for you. So you should be in a better mood.
Okay.
And today is Daylight Savings Day. So
because that makes it better. That always makes it.
You got an extra hour. But the more important question is, did you set all your quartz watches?
No, I did not. I did not. I remember early on in the collecting game, back when I had the one watch box, I would go through and I would take a picture of, I would set everything on daylight savings time, and I was very proud of myself. Like, look at all my
seconds
watches
would be ticking at the same
They're
time.
all there, like we were all synced. It was great. And now I took a look at the watch boxes, and then I looked in the drawer, and then I thought about the ones that are out for service, and I thought about the ones that didn't work, and I'm like, I just need to have another drink.
But you know what? You're forgetting one very important watch. Setting all those watches pales in comparison to having to set this beast.
It does, but remember that one. I was looking at that today. I was looking at that because there's another version of those that automatically adjusts. And I'm just thinking, like, California is potentially getting rid of daylight savings time next year, and so now all of a sudden you're still going to have.
How long have they been saying that though? They've been saying that in Florida too.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. But I mean, Arizona's ahead of the curve, but still, you gotta take this realization that it's like, oh, now we're gonna have to do a firmware update on all the quartz watches. No longer
Well, this has a daylight savings option in it. I just don't know how to work it.
Yeah.
With the day I got this watch, I somehow accidentally fell into setting it at the right time, and it stayed that way ever since. So now I don't know how to set it back.
Oh well,
it'll give me something to do tomorrow.
There's a button.
Actually, I got plenty to do tomorrow. I got a lot to do.
No, don't we all?
Remember I told you my weekend of having to do nothing? Yeah, well, that ended quick.
Well,
honeydew list. I'm not even married and I got a honeydew list.
Something to look forward to.
So, what's new?
Nothing is new. I got nothing new.
You got nothing new?
Nothing new.
Really?
Honest to God.
No bracelets, no straps, no parts, no nothing. Who are you?
No. It's that time of year, man. I'm busy.
Okay, well, I've got some stuff that you can borrow. How's that?
Okay, fair.
Would you like to borrow, Joe? And it's not easily placed here. I'm just going to grab a couple off the top. Would you
off the top.
Yeah. Would you like to borrow, Joe, some original service manuals?
That Carabao manual is really, really cool. So, okay, and that's the transistorized, right?
So this is the Caravelle transistorized. This maybe on the inside it might specify if this is the Japanese or the ESA version. I'm not 100%.
Okay, but
sure.
here's my question: how detailed is that? Like, do you feel like if you read that a couple of times, maybe slept on it, that you could service a transistorized movement?
So, I mean, it does have some technical schematics in here.
Ooh, numbers. Okay, I'm out.
Okay. I'm not. It's clutch, lever, switch blade, circuit wire, terminal. There's certain measurements. It says, so this is for, the electrical system, which most of that movement is. Talk about replacing circuit insulators and attaching leads and things like that. So this manual is not as visual heavy as some of the other ones are.
Right.
There's more reading involved, and I think you have to have a good working knowledge in your mind of how this goes together in order to make it work, to be able to understand that. Not like, let's see here. This was a cool one. I don't have one, but this is the book for the wrist alarm.
Yeah.
So that's pretty.
Yeah,
neat.
you're sharing that one. That's a cool watch though. But it, it's got that separate spring, and it runs the alarm off of that. They're interesting.
Yeah,
It's a really interesting, clever.
That one I thumbed through. It talks about the whole hammer system and everything in there.
It sounds like a pissed off cicada.
It really does. Yeah. This is not that good. Where is the one that I had? It's a really good visual representation of.
Is it up on the wall?
Well, there is one on the wall. But like this is the ladies, the real tiny automatics, the 7 BCAC movements.
Yeah.
There's that bulletin, which I think is the movement in the Lady O.
It's probably similar to one I've got in that orange
tile. Is this it here? This is here.
That she double I've got.
So this is one that most, I'd say probably 70% of Bulivas and Caravels have. So this is the 11 BSACB, the Buliva branded, or it would be the Caravel 11 UOACB. This is the AS2066. But this has a great detailed schematic of how to pull everything out. Dial
that
side,
exploded
train
view
side,
is nice.
The date mechanisms, all of that is in here.
See, now here's my fear though. This is going to give you this false sense of confidence, and you're going to be a couple drinks in. It's like, I can fix it. Give me a toothpick.
Look at it this way. I was pulling this watch apart without this manual, so now I feel like I can do it and get it back together again. But it's just you can hear it. It's all falling apart. Like there's service bulletins from 1953 in here. It's cool stuff.
Nice. That was a good pickup, man. I mean, it's nice to have that archival stuff and that vintage.
So we were talking, these are all digitized. I do have most of these in a digitized form, but it's just cool to have that piece of history, that paper in your hand, just to flip through it. It's always nice to have. These were in a binder. The edges are folded up a little bit, so I might get a nice little binder and put them back in there like they once were when they were being used. So that's your new thing, number one, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
No, yeah.
I look forward to borrowing.
Ask me what I got now.
Hey, Mike, what do you got?
Hey, so Joe, it is in the house of Buliva. We are talking Timex today.
Hey, all right,
first on the list.
So let's go through this. So you got two.
I've got two new Timexes. One is new to me. One is actually brand new. So the new to me. This came from the Art Deco gentleman. This is the Timex by Nigel Caborn, however you say his name. This is, so there's a few pieces in this collaboration. This is one of the soccer timers.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool watch.
Very cool. It came on this strap, comes on a black single pass leather. And everything comes in a little soccer referee pouch.
Okay.
That's got the the collaboration name on it, and it's ties. It's kind of like a little watch roll, but it's a soccer pouch. So that's number one.
All right.
Number two is part of the Timex standard collection.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a model name to it. This is, as everybody has pointed out, this is the Spectre Seamaster.
This is Seamaster.
Yeah.
And like, it's scary how close it is. It really, really is. Like,
and you know what's scary is I never made the connection.
You didn't see it when started.
No, but that's why I probably like it, because we've talked about how of all the Bond watches, that was my favorite one. So that's probably why I was drawn to this.
So for the viewers at home, if you're listening to this on Spotify, you're screwed. For the viewers at home, click off the light and do the underglow.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Do it. Watch this. Watch this.
So I found out by accident. There we go.
Yeah.
Nice,
so the whole
blue dial.
The whole dial glows. And it looks like the numerals, and it's got like an Explorer 36912. It looks like the numerals would be loomed, and it turns out they're not.
They're not, yeah.
And so when the underglow pops on, the whole thing goes this pale blue, even though the dial is dark. It looks like it's a matte charcoal gray, almost a black.
It's very transparent for being a black dial. I'm surprised. Very surprised.
Yeah, it's a really interesting take.
Very cool onion dial. It's 40 millimeters.
Onion crown,
or onion crown. What did I say?
Onion dial.
Yeah, no,
totally
onion crown.
Different kind of dial.
And I've only had a few sips of this beer.
See, look at that.
So very cool onion crown. It's Timex TX signed crown. 40 millimeters, wears a whole lot larger because this thing is all dial.
Right.
All dial.
When you told me it was 40, I was really skeptical, but it's like, yeah, you're right. I thought it was bigger. I really did. I thought it was like 42.
Yeah, it looks like it on the wrist.
All right,
very.
Can we talk about that strap?
So this is my Warnikov.
I know.
Nail strap. The
I know.
So this comes on they call it a. What do they call it? It's like a nylon strap or whatever they say it is.
Do we need to play charades for this?
Could we?
Syllables. Sounds like.
Yeah, sounds like. So you would think, okay, make a cool field watch. You can get it wet. Blah, blah. I mean, it's it's 50 meters water resistance. So you're not going to get it that wet. But if you do get it wet, you caught in the rain, you wash your hands, whatever. It's a leather back. It's a leather back nylon strap, which makes no sense.
Right.
So
back leather strap would make more sense.
That would make more sense. Yeah.
But how much did this bad boy cost you? So
this is on the Timex website for $79. Right. If you're a first-time visitor of the Timex website, you can get it pops up right on the screen. Get 15% off your first purchase. Put in your email, you get a code in a few minutes. Between the $79, the 15% off, and the free shipping with taxes, this was $71 to my door.
How long did it take to get to your door?
Well, Timex is killing it in the design department.
They are. They really are.
Shipping department, however,
is not.
They are failing miserably. So it's weird. I can't entirely say it was Timex's fault.
I live in a weird postal black hole. Things are. We've talked about this before. Things are weird where you live. Floor demand is
comes from the Midwest, and I do believe these ship from Ohio, so that would make sense. They sent me, so I ordered it on the 26th of October. Yeah. On the 26th of October, I got a notice that says your package is shipped. I got a tracking number, a USPS tracking number. Right. Tracked it for 8 days. And all those 8 days, it says USPS has not received the package yet.
Yep.
Okay, fine. Then
it appears at your door.
Then maybe this is just the way that it goes. On the 5th day, I email Timex's customer support. Hey, I'm a first-time buyer from your website. It's showing that it hasn't been delivered to the USPS yet. Is this normal? Is this outside of being normal? Just trying to find, what should I be looking for? No answer back from them.
Right.
On day 8, I call Timex's customer service. Apparently, Timex has a very busy customer service because I got the whole, we are going to call you back when it is your turn, right?
We're reaching a high number of.
Yeah, hours go by. I finally get a call. Okay, explain them the situation. Oh, well, you should get it by November 16th. I'm like, November 16th? What are you talking about? So that same day, all these service manuals get delivered.
Right.
To my door. It's medium mail. It doesn't fit in the mailbox. He puts it into my door. On the package of these service manuals, it's written, mailbox is full. Huh. Okay. Well, trundle down to the mailbox. What's inside of it? The Timex watch that never tracked. So I don't know. I don't get it. That's the USPS. That's my luck with the USPS.
You're killing it with USPS.
Yeah. But Joe,
sir,
at the most basic level, $71. It's a chrome plated case, a 3-hander, quartz movement, no date, a true no date. It's not a phantom position.
Right.
It comes on a weird strap, right? You put it on one of these things, looks phenomenal.
Right.
Timex is killing it. They're killing it.
Timex is killing it.
But I love Joe, we love Bulova and everything Bulova, but Bulova needs to take notice at what Timex is doing and at the price point they are doing it at.
When you take into consideration all of the new stuff that Timex is doing, the new drops, the collaborations, the price point that they're at, like, you know, you talked about that Pan Am watch, which is fantastic. There's a new titanium field watch, which is also really, really good. We're going to talk about it later. There's the Hodinkee collaboration, you know, there's
titanium watch, everything that it does, the water resistance levels, the sapphire crystal, I think is only like $220. And it's an automatic, right? It's an automatic movement.
Yeah. It's
got to be a Miyota. Timex uses Miyotas.
Yeah.
I mean,
on the one hand, it's really good for Timex, but for those of us as fans of Bulova, it's like,
for those of us that are wanting
for
to
you there,
nudge Caravel into that, I mean, come on,
right?
Their Timex is operating in the same price point as Caravel is, but they are killing them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that. I'll be very honest with you. It's just nuts. It's nuts.
I'll be very honest with you. I felt guilty. I felt dirty ordering this Timex. I felt dirty going to Timex.com, putting it in my cart, paying for it. I felt like I was cheating on Bulova.
Well, it's because you were, but that's fine.
I was.
That's neither here nor there.
But I mean, come on, guys.
Right?
Come on, Michael. I know you listen to some of these episodes.
We're gonna get a phone call now.
Hey, I was just gonna say, Michael has got my phone number. Give me a call. We'll go through this together. I'll ease the pain. So you ain't got nothing new to show, Joe. What do you got on your wrist?
I got nothing on the wrist. I have the Bulova Surfboard LE. This is the limited edition, one of 350, 40 millimeter original size, 18 millimeter lug on the bracelet. Standing proud on the wrist.
Well, hold on, back up. Original size is not 40 millimeters.
It's not. It's 38. And this is pretty darn close. It's pretty darn close.
I think that's what 38.5.
Yeah.
When we
so when I put it next to any of my vintage, you know, and I just got that Chrono B, and so it's the same. There's the deep sea chronograph, the deep sea chronograph B. The A is the one that this is the take on. It's like, man,
it's like the same until you look at them from a profile view.
Until you look at the side, because it's not the hand wound. It's got the automatic movement, and so it sits up real tall. I mean, how tall? This tall.
Yeah, what is that? 13? Isn't that what we said it was? 13. Yeah, but you know
17.
What?
It's 17.
That's 17.
Yeah, it's almost it's almost as tall as it is for the strap. It's 17 millimeters tall.
Wow.
It's really tall.
I thought it was thinner than that. But
it's not, sir.
Part of the problem is that bracelet, because that has that weird restricted.
It does, right?
Bracelet.
So even like looking at it from here, it's like, okay, you really can't get it.
That's as far as you can bend it,
and that's it. Yeah, it's just the way that it is, and it's like, okay, I haven't messed around with straps on this. I'm considering it. I'd also like to see like maybe the bracelet fits on other stuff. So I don't know.
Here's my question, because you have on your deep sea, you have the original bracelet. Yes. Does that have the same weird restrictions and the curve? No. Okay. So
no, but it's also nearly 50 years old. You know, it's a well-worn bracelet, so it's hard to. But I think that the construction is also different. This is the modern construction. I mean, the bracelets are incredibly similar, at least in appearance. I don't think the construction is anywhere close to the same.
Yeah, I'm sure not. Yeah.
This has got the deployant clasp. It doesn't have the fold-over buckle. So, you know. It's nice, but though. I like it.
Very cool watch. Yeah, very much so.
It's a really good looking watch. It's a really great package.
That's a watch you need to look at with a loop.
Yes,
and the quartz version too. The quartz is the exact same thing,
same dial,
2 millimeters larger.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like mine so much.
I'm with you. And so in the glass is a sparkling seltzer. This is crisp apple with an extra shot of rye, because sometimes the seltzers don't quite do it, and you need a little
get you there.
little extra. And it's fall.
You enjoy that. It's been a week. You enjoy that.
I am.
Because your week starts over again tomorrow.
It does.
Mine doesn't start till Tuesday. My Mondays are always better than yours.
So what do you got?
I too am wearing a limited edition today. In fact, I'm wearing, for the first time on the show, not the first time it's been talked about, but the first time on the wrist, is the parking meter.
There it is.
On my
that is such a weird sleeper of a watch, man. I think that not enough people have gotten the chance to really see that and appreciate that for what it is, because it does not come across well on the website. It doesn't come across well on any place that you've read about it, any place that you've seen pictures of it. It is not the same. You got to put it on.
It's hard to photograph this watch. It really is. You have to get at very specific angles in order to truly see the colors in it, to see the depth in it. It's difficult to photograph. And if you're looking at it in a 2D dimension, it doesn't do it justice. You really do need to see this in person.
It was so weird. Like I didn't quite get it until I got to actually handle it. And it's like, okay. So what's in the glass?
I'm not drinking out of a glass today. I'm drinking out of a can. This is Cigar City Brewing Company Guayabera. I don't know, Citra Pale Ale. I'm going to hold it up to camera. You can read it, pronounce it how you want to. Guayabera. It is
like the shirt.
Neither Citra or pale. This tastes like a very hoppy IPA. So it's false advertisement.
Well, maybe that's what citrus tastes like. Resin and grass.
Somebody developed that after they had COVID when they couldn't taste properly. That's how that happened.
Citra. Yeah, nobody knows what that is. It'll work.
Yeah,
but it can.
So well, I wish I didn't have 5 more to drink after this one.
I'd say cook with it, but that never it reduces a little much.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today? What is on tap?
So we are always talking Bulova. Somehow in our conversations, it's Bulova. We're going to give Bulova a little bit of a rest today. We're going to do something a little bit different, something that we haven't ever really done before. We're doing a new release Roundup. We're talking some of these new, some controversial watches and we're giving it the Springbar spin.
All right.
So we're gonna ruffle some feathers. We're gonna lose some listeners.
What's
we're
first,
talking?
Mike?
We're talking first? Rolex Deep Sea Challenge.
What's your take?
The new collaboration, the latest collaboration from Rolex, the Rolex by Invicta. So for those that aren't part of all our behind the scenes stuff, I spent a lot of time creating these reference sheets on all the watches we're talking today. We're talking 5 watches. This is the first of 5. This is reference 126067, the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge. This is a 50 millimeter by 23 millimeter monster.
50 millimeters.
What did I say?
No, that's it. That's 50. I'm emphasizing. Taking a moment. We're talking about it.
In the research that I was doing, I could not find a lug to lug. I would love to know what the lug to lug is on this thing.
Oh, geez.
It's got to be massive.
It's at least 60.
It has to be. I would think.
Yeah.
Now, this is not as ridiculous as the Deep Sea Special from 60.
Well, I mean, I don't think the lug to lug on that was quite the same, but when you start talking about the crystal height.
Well, the crystal, and that was a monoblock slab, and then you throw that huge ass crystal on top of it.
Right.
And they did a deep sea challenge a few years ago, well, about a handful of years ago. And it's not even quite as large as that one, but it's still a chunky monkey.
Yeah, I mean, because that was the Cameron watch, right? The one that he strapped when he did his deep dive, and it was the Sea Dweller version.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Just the crystal on this thing is 9.5 millimeters thick, and it's a dome sapphire, so the distortion on that is real.
Oh yeah.
It has the Rolex caliber 3230, the COSC certified, 70-hour power reserve. The big thing is 11,000 meters water resistant, 36,000 feet, just over 36,000 feet. They say you can take it to the bottom of the ocean, to the seafloor.
You know what? Good on you.
I feel like you would implode before you got anywhere near that.
Well, I mean, it sort of raises the question. It's like, okay, cool. This is a production watch. This is a limited edition watch. How many of these are you really going to make? And other than the fact that it is now a Rolex in titanium, other than that limited edition Yachtmaster without Sir Van Ainsley's the one who's wearing that, and that's a prototype watch. Other than that, nothing. So this will be the first production reference in titanium. But beyond that, would you wear it? Would you do it? Who's this watch for?
Well, that's just it. Who's going to buy this thing? It's not like a
Rolex
Submariner.
Collectors are going to buy it. I could probably go out and wave a stick and hit 4 of them. Because it's because first production in titanium.
Well, okay.
Blah 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 blah. You look at the spec sheet. It was like, yes, I must have it.
So who's going to buy it and wear it?
Anybody who's going to a watch meetup.
Okay, so it's a good thing it's certified to
36,000 feet. If you're doing something on a boat, they might get chucked over the side, but you'll be able to retrieve it, so it'll be okay.
It'll be perfectly fine.
And recognize that it has to be in titanium, because otherwise you would not be able to lift your wrist. It is you would be.
Imagine how much that would weigh in steel. So a cool fun fact. They tested this to 125% of its abilities.
Of course.
So with a 25% margin. So it's actually, the official rating is 11,000 meters. It's actually capable of 13,750 meters. And for those that don't do the metric system, that's just over 45,000 feet.
So it's not a mile. Because me and my math.
Yeah, Joe, it's like 7 miles. No, it's more than that even.
So it's not a mile, is what you're saying.
It's not a mile, no.
Right.
Not.
So basically Joe, what you're saying.
You know how many feet are in a mile, right?
Hang on. So yes, I do. There's over 5,000. 5,000 and change. Okay, so I should take this watch, put it on my wrist, swim to the bottom of the Mariana Trench with the shovel, and then start digging. And then I'll be okay.
And then you'll be okay.
And I would be okay.
Yeah.
I have a completely different take on this watch.
Okay. What is your take on this watch?
Here's my take on
ridiculous hunk of metal.
This ridiculous hunk of metal.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures of it, and it ticked here. Something flashed, and it took me a while.
Okay.
And then I took a look at it, and I will bring up the picture right here. This is a picture of my lady snorkel. I got it right here. This is my lady snorkel.
Oh,
that's the watch.
Love to see where this goes.
So now let's drop in the side by side. This is a lady's watch. It's a lady's watch. This 50 millimeter Rolex is a lady's watch. And let me tell you why.
Oh, it was designed for the ladies, was it?
It is designed for the ladies because what you end up with when you start looking at dive watches or tool watches that have been designed by men for women is you will take the proportions and you will shrink it. The rule is shrink it and pink it, right? I don't know how we can rhyme this one, grow it and show it. I don't know, but something along those lines, because all they really did is they took the proportions, they kind of blew them up. It doesn't work. It doesn't work proportionally. And if you look at these two watches side by side, there's a similarity there.
So are you saying that because you complained it was too small, we made it too large?
It's not just right.
You got what you asked for.
They have not hit the Goldilocks spot for this one at all. It is a lady's watch. Look at the proportions of it, man. Look at it the same. Look, compare it to the two. It's a lady's watch. So it's a big lady, but it's a lady's watch.
We've just offended all our Rolex listeners and all our lady listeners.
I did not offend the lady listeners. I did not, because the lady listeners understand that the watch should be specifically designed. It should not be an expansion or contraction of anything. That if the watch is going to be ideal for a female wearer, it needs to be designed for the female wearer. It cannot be a reduction of a men's watch. And this is something that we've heard time and time again, that if you want to appeal to that market, you need to design specifically for that market. You cannot just reduce something and hope that it's going to work. You just can't. You just can't. The woman watch wearer is just as discerning as the male watch wearer. They just got a lot more options when it comes to jewelry. And the watch is jewelry. It's functional jewelry, but it's jewelry nonetheless. So if you're going to do something, then at least put some thought into it. At least make it proportional. Come on.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that. I don't quite understand the comparison to your sub 30 millimeter.
30 millimeter on a fat day.
Okay.
29.95, or depends on how much I squeeze the calipers.
So this honking gigantic, overly built, overly engineered $26,000 hunk of metal, yay or nay?
I wouldn't wear it.
Yeah, it's a nay for me too.
I wouldn't wear it. I mean, you could spend. I don't think anybody's really even seen one yet either.
There are a few pictures that are surfacing on wrists. So,
yeah. That's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me. All
right.
Moving on.
Next, Omega had a big week, and they were just out in LA, and they dropped 2 new collections. They've got their new chiming complication, and it is the Olympic Chrono Chime, and there's 2 different versions of that. And they also dropped their jeweled bezel Speedmasters. And so we won't dwell on the Speedmaster quite as much, just to say that a jeweled bezel Speedmaster is a little... Here's the hot take. Like, I was at a watch meetup with people that were actually at the event. They were invited to the event. They weren't flown out to the event, but they made it there. And none of them were on the list. They did not want to get one. It's very well executed. You've got the jewels around the bezel. They're very well set. You've got jewels on the indices. It's very well done. It's very tastefully done. And Omega has a history for that. But none of the collectors that I was speaking to had that. None of them said that's what I want.
Omega has a history of doing things tastefully.
They have in their historical catalog. They have jewel set and jewel fixed dials, and they've got jewels.
Okay.
Those. They've got
I know.
And in their history,
I'll agree with that.
They have some very well executed designs.
These lately are not tasteful.
They are interesting. They are interesting, but like, when the problem that I have with those is, like, you're looking at the Speedmaster as kind of the ultimate tool watch, right? That's the marketing ploy, right? It's the moon watch that makes it the ultimate tool watch.
Here's the thing. Yes, exactly. 100%. The probably most famous tool watch on Earth, the Speedmaster,
or off Earth,
or off Earth. Exactly.
Right.
You're gonna it in gold. Okay, all right. For those who like that sort of thing, I can get that. Still a Speedmaster, still a tool watch. You're gonna put a chime in it. Now we got to talk.
All right, so let's talk about the chime. Talk about the chiming watch. What are we? So the Olympic chrono chime,
and then you have the Speedmaster chrono chime,
right?
So
the 1932 versus the Speedmaster, etc.
The Speedmaster. So the Speedmaster reference I have in here, we all love these things. The 522.50.45.52.03.001. No, I'm just kidding.
And what does that go on in the Dewey Decimal System? Really, I wonder if we should ever take a look into that.
Isn't that the next set of decimals in pi?
It might be. Who knows?
It's in there somewhere. What Omega does. They just keep going on to the next set of numbers, and after that, they go on to the next set of numbers. This is a heavy watch. It's 45.5 millimeters.
It's a big sucker.
It's a big one. 21 millimeter lugs, 17.3 millimeters thick. So
and of course it's 21. It's 21 millimeter lugs. So let's reinforce that just a little bit, which means that you've got no strap options at all.
Yeah, but if you're buying it in all solid set of gold, you're not going to change the strap out anyways.
No. If you're buying that in solid set of gold, you probably are changing out the strap on that because you can.
Well, why would you want to?
You've got custom straps that are made to match your Ferrari and your Maserati.
Yeah, well, probably. Fair enough. The entire watch, the case, the bracelet, and the movement, because the movement is also solid set in gold. The entire watch weighs 326 grams.
Do that math.
Yeah, math. Just the movement alone is 40 grams of gold.
How much grams?
The movement?
No,
the
whole thing.
The whole watch, 326.
Hey Siri, how much is 326 grams in ounces?
326 grams is 11.5 ounces.
That's a relatively decent steak.
Yeah. It's just under a pound of gold on your wrist. Yep. So there's overkill number one.
Number one. But wait, there's more.
So when you look at it, okay, in the 9 o'clock register, surrounding it is two hammers.
Yep.
Two hammers is indicative of a minute repeater.
Yes.
Okay. However,
high and low sounds, right?
High and low sounds. Yep. This watch is not a minute repeater. Oh no, it is far more useless than that.
And what does it chime?
It is, as the name would state, a chrono chime. So the chime is tied into the chronograph. It chimes out the elapsed time on your chronograph.
But it does it. Why? It does it in the same way that you would find almost any other minute repeater does. Right? It goes minutes, then 10 seconds, and then the seconds. And you've got a pause that's in between each one of about a second and a half. So you can register where that pause is. Like I watched the video to hear it. It's a good sounding. It is a really nice, it's clear. It's very well executed.
Yeah. I will not say, that it's horrible in the way that it sounds. It's great. It's fantastic. But why on earth would you need that attached to your chronograph?
Why on earth would you need a Speedmaster with a retropont and a chiming complication?
But that's what I'm saying.
Perhaps if you go to space, you would not need it on Earth, obviously.
If you go to space and you suddenly go blind,
who knows?
Odds are you're not doing anything that requires you to time anyways.
you never know, Mike. But now let's talk. So this is it. It's in the Speedmaster case. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the 1932. Let's talk about the other version of it. But it's the same movement, but it's a totally different case configuration.
It's just turned 90 degrees.
It is, but it's much more of it's harkening back to the pocket watch that this kind of came from, and that's
what it is. In fact, a pocket. It comes with a strap to wear around your neck.
You can change it. You can alter it around, and so to me, that's the more interesting watch.
That's
the one. Oh, without
right.
Right. And
it still doesn't make sense that it's a chrono chime, but that design still makes more sense.
No, but when you look at what the execution is like, how do you do this? How do you make it work? What is the mathematics that's involved? And you remember, I'm not that guy, but somebody at Omega was like, you know what would be hard? This would be hard. What if we did it for the chronograph?
You know, and what
somebody,
it was?
Somebody else was like, yeah, do that.
So we had a conversation with Oliver just the other day. We could remember he was setting his weird court Speedmaster.
Oh God!
And the
constellation, yeah,
the constellation. The crown sets one function, and then there's a push button in the crown to set another function, and then you have a button at the 4 o'clock that does another function.
Yes.
And I said that watch was designed by the people who pronounce it Omega.
Yes.
This watch here that we're talking about right now was also designed by the people who pronounce it Omega.
It was not. No, you're wrong. This was not designed by those people. This was designed by those people's grandchildren who had sat on the laps of, tell me again, Papa. Tell me again about designing the watch.
Yeah.
And this is the watch that they dreamed up.
It
is a horological tour de force. It is without question a phenomenally executed, well put together, that no expense was spared.
Well, you know why it's well put together?
Because it's Omega.
This is not, no, you would think, right?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You're right. Go.
This is a Blancpain collaboration design.
Collaboration with Blancpain.
That's why it's so refined. Blancpain is like, yes, we can create the movement for you that has the chime, and we can do it however you would like it. I'm like, well, we don't want a minute repeater. We want to put it in the chronograph. Why would you want to do that?
This is
because
possible.
We're Omega.
This is possible. It is not probable, but this is possible. We can do this. We can do this.
So I talked to somebody who's a collector, a lot of high-end watches, and has, some Speedmasters and some really nice vintage Rolexes and things like that. And I asked him, I said, what's your take on this? He says, it's getting ridiculous. He says, they're really playing out the Speedmaster too much now. He says, this is just why. So I'm glad we're on the same page.
Okay. Because now this is, I'm talking to Cool Side of the Moon. I'm talking about PAX. I'm talking about some high-end Speedmaster collectors who they were chomping at the bit to get this watch. Chomping at the bit. They had seen it, they had heard it, and they're like, I'm on the list.
Did they? So are they getting?
Both of them are on the list.
Okay, so
we're not talking like low on the list. We're talking 1 digit on the list. These are people that are going to get potentially below number 10.
But you know how long it's going to take them to get number 10?
Well, tell me, how long is it going to take them to get number 10?
So I forget exactly. They're only doing 3 or 4 of these watches per year.
Right.
And currently, as of right now, the list is over 10 years long.
Yep. These guys might get number 2 and number 3, maybe number 3 and number 4. That's who some of these guys are in terms of how the collector space works.
Do you care to tell the listeners, Joe, how much they are paying for these ridiculous hunk of junk?
Hunk of junk. I won't go there.
Okay, it's not a hunk of junk, but
It's not a hunk of junk. $450,000.
Oh, is that all?
Depending on the exchange rate. So, for the price of your home, you could have a watch that will tell you what your chronograph has been doing in the dark.
You can have a nice house in LA where you can have 11 ounces of gold.
Well, nice house in LA is pushing it. It's a very nice condo.
Okay. You could have a mansion in Texas.
You certainly could. You would probably two.
Yeah. $450,000.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of
money for a watch.
Imagine how many nice vintage Speedmasters you can buy with that.
That's a lot of vintage Speedmasters.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy a lot of vintage Beastmasters for that. All right.
So
what's
$450,000 of this 1 pound gold watch that chimes in the dark, but not to tell you what time it is? Is it a yay or a nay?
Well, that's definitely a no for me.
That's a no for me too.
I'm not interested in that.
I like the 1932.
I do like that, but even that's still
money for it.
That's still a no for me because it's still too big. It's still too big. It's like can you get it down to 39? That's wearable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Other than being able to, other than being able to walk in and flex with it, they'll say, "Look at me." And if that's the case, I would much rather have a condo.
You're gonna have two people walk into the same watch meet. Look at my watch; it chimes to the chronograph. Well, look at my watch; it goes 36,000 feet. Well, look at my watch; it weighs a pound. Well, look at my watch; it's 23 millimeters. And then everybody's going to go come and look at your devil divers instead.
They are, right? They're like, so is that a Caravel? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
It's transistorized. Tell me more about that one. Yes.
So between the two of them, that's $475,000 well spent.
Well spent.
Yeah. So let's move on to something that makes more sense, Joe.
Okay.
Let's move
this
on.
This is let's be honest. This is your choice. This is your choice.
This one was my choice. I'm very excited about this one.
All right.
It's way out of my price range.
Hang on. You talk amongst yourselves. Go.
What? I can't talk without you here, Joe. Where'd you go? Ah, I see.
If we're going to talk about this, I need another drink. Okay, go.
Okay. We are talking the fantastic, gorgeous piece of art coming from Christopher Ward London. Oh, yes, I am referring to the C1 Bel Canto.
Uh-huh.
Let it sink in. This is the picture.
Yeah.
I'll let it run a little bit longer than most because it is absolutely gorgeous. This watch is a piece of art on your wrist. Very, very much MB&F vibes with this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It is more MB&F than not. All right.
This is also a titanium watch, which I don't like titanium. However, I would buy this watch. 41 by 13, which is a nice size. Okay, right. For what it is.
How tall is it though?
13 millimeters.
13? Really?
Yeah. 13. Okay. 48 lug to lug.
Okay.
I don't know what the lug width is. If I had to guess, I would say 20. That seems to be about right for 41.
Probably. I'd go with that.
0 water resistance, but who cares? You're not going to take it in the water anyways.
I want to hear what it sounds like in the bathtub.
It's 3 ATM, which is essentially 0.
Right.
So this has an automatic, what they're calling the FSO1 movement. Okay, the FSO1 is actually the module that goes on top of the base movement, which is a Sellita SW200. Okay, interesting. Now we're getting into some interesting stuff. We're taking a Sellita SW200, throwing a module on top of it, which was derived from a jump hour movement. So there's a lot of ingenuity that's going on here. Like, how do we create this within a budget to keep it cost effective, yet be as innovative and groundbreaking within this price bracket?
You're using really big words to say that I went to Radio Shack and slapped some stuff together. That's what you're doing. Now, I will grant you that developing the chime takes work. It is not an easy thing to do. Developing these chimes to get them to fit and to get them to resonate within this space. And this is the use of titanium, right? Because that was the point. The titanium was chosen because of the resonance that goes with it. Which
there was something like almost 100 different variations until they settled on what they settled on.
Which is a very interesting thing, because as most of well, as like the 10 of you listeners know, like I come from the musical world. There is nothing in the musical world that's made out of titanium, right? No instruments are made out of titanium. Nobody uses titanium. And it could be because of the manufacturing costs are too large. And then the sizes that are going to be required are going to be just, extreme. But the SR-71 was made out of titanium that was sourced from the Soviet Union and used to spy on the Soviet Union. And they wore the Accutron astronaut in order to make that happen. But I digress. It still goes back to the point. It's like, okay, they're using titanium in an acoustic setting. And that to me is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Very,
and
very
it sounds very nice too.
It sounds good. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It does sound
It's
nice.
worth noting. This, much like the Speedmaster, is not a minute repeater. There's only one hammer. This is what they call a sonnerie chime, which chimes once per hour at the top of the hour to let you know you've hit that mark.
Hi.
And something that looks better than the Christopher Ward.
This is very true. This is very true.
Cameo appearance. Last week it was your cat.
This week it is my wife.
This week is your wife, Emily.
There's no comparison.
There is no comparison. No. So it's a sonnerie. It chimes at the top of every hour. You can turn it on or off. It has an indicator on the dial with a little red hand. I don't know why you would ever want to turn it off.
Because you don't want to get woken up at 2 a.m. by your watch going bong, bong.
You're probably going to keep it in the safe. But anyways, it is an LE 300 pieces in this blue dial. You can't buy it. It's sold out in 3 hours. The next day, they said, we have been overwhelmed by your response. We appreciate everybody, their outpouring of gratitude. We are releasing a green dial version. Beautiful emerald green dial. Same exact thing, 300 pieces. That sold out in 2 hours. So that says a lot about this watch from an independent company. Come on, Joe, you got to admit that's pretty amazing.
This watch does zero for me. It does absolutely nothing for me whatsoever. I don't understand what the point is. I don't understand why Christopher Ward would want to do it.
It makes more sense to have that chime at the top of every hour than your chronograph binging and bonging at you.
Yeah, but okay, the chronograph binging and bonging me, it is massively, massively difficult to do.
And furthermore,
difficult to do.
You have to tell your chronograph to bing and bong at you. This just does it automatically.
Oh, okay. So I don't want it to, and it's going to do it. It's not going to listen to me regardless. I don't understand this watch.
If you don't want it to, you can tell it not to.
The point of this watch
is like a butler on your wrist, Joe.
It's not a butler on my wrist. This is like somebody saying like, well, we could have done it, but we chose to kind of go half.
No. What he's saying is, excuse me, sir. Yeah. Excuse me, sir. It is now at the top of the hour. I just wanted to let you know that perhaps you don't want me to bother you in the overnight hours.
You recognize
the little button at 4:00.
You recognize that the reason that it has to do that is because that the dial set is so small in comparison to the rest of it that you can't read the time, and you need to have it bong the hour at you because you won't be able to tell what time it is when the hands go like that.
Joe, people pay far more money for the same size dial in MBNF horological machines. You're getting this for a fraction of the price. And by fraction, I'm talking $35.95, $3,600. You can have this gorgeous piece of art, horological masterpiece on your wrist. Well, actually, you can't because they've all sold out. But if they do another version of it, you better be in line.
It seems that Christopher Ward is a watch in search of a soul. That they haven't. We will agree to disagree on this. And because like you've got a size comparison that's right up there with Omega, but it's not Omega. You've got this petite sonnerie that will bong at you for the hours, but it's not going to do the rest of it. It's like, okay, you could.
But it doesn't need to do the rest of it. That's just it.
Yeah, but then what's I don't know. I don't understand the point of this watch.
Who's going to take a Sellita SW200 and turn it into this? Who? Nobody.
Christopher Ward.
Exactly. Nobody else has the balls to do that.
No, you okay? If you say so.
So, Joe, for this $3,600 masterpiece, Audible masterpiece, is it a yay or a nay?
There's a nay for me. God, man.
Well, I'll take your thumb and I'll put it up along with my thumb because it gets 2 thumbs.
I got a place for you to put that thumb.
No, that would be this finger, Joe.
Yeah, yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Yeah.
All right. What's next, Mike? What's our next discussion piece?
Moving on, probably something that we will agree will be the latest Hodinkee Q Timex collaboration.
That's a nice watch.
It is very cool.
It's a nice watch. Like Hodinkee's got this grayscale thing that they do with most of their limited releases. This watch, it works. It works in that space. The case is nice. The bezel is nice. The dial, it's a solid piece.
Let's start here. Let's bring it full circle. We were talking about Timex and how they're killing Caravel, right? Timex is doing a collaboration with a company who is known for when anything Hodinkee goes on it, price goes through the roof. However, they've still yet to keep this under $200.
#Timex.
#Timex. You can buy this Hodinkee by Timex for $189.
Can you buy it or is it sold out?
No, you absolutely can still buy it.
It's interesting.
You can still buy it. It was very hard to find a number because it is a limited edition. Very hard to find what the actual production is. Through the channels, I've heard 2,500 pieces.
Okay.
So not horrible.
That's gonna go. It's gonna sell out without question.
Now you say that this will absolutely. This for sure will. Remember, let's rewind back. What we called the Sea Hunter Hodinkee Timex release,
right?
That was the 369 dial.
Yeah.
You can still buy that one. That one has not sold out. I would imagine probably the same 2,500 pieces.
I wonder. I
was surprised to see the two of these side by side. You can still buy them. Now, the thing that caught my eye on this, and I have the Snoopy Q.
Yep.
We've all seen the Q Timexes, the reissues. They're all exactly the same size case, same size bezel. Materials might be a little different, so on and so forth. For whatever reason, and it's probably the crosshatch dial, caught my eye as being a very close lookalike to the Oceanographer L.
There's a similarity that's there, between the L and the M. The M has got that sort of that blue.
The M has the same style dial, but this particular case.
Yeah, the case is totally different, right? No, I agree with you. Like, you look at because the first thing that when I saw it, and we had that discussion, that you've got that sort of sector dial, you've got the stranger indices. It's like it's a similar dial between the two of them. The color scheme is much more faded of the M, and it's kind of not identical, but it's similar to the one that I've got with that oxidized dial. Even though I've got that new old stock dial that I'm going to swap in. #Magic Hands. #coming to you soon. Right? They've done their research on this watch. They have gone back to some of the 70s watches, some of the late 60s, early 70s watches, and they've really delved into the archives. And they've got a color scheme that's going to appeal. I like it. I like the whole package. I'm okay with this one. This is like, yep, I get it.
For sure. Yeah, it is fantastic. And when you look at it, it's very monochromatic, very much so. And I'm very much somebody who likes a lot of color in their watches. But this thing I would wear a lot, I think.
I don't disagree with you. And I know that you prefer the funky, but it works. It really does work. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this one.
So this one
price point's not bad either.
Oh, not at all. $189 for a Hodinkee watch.
Yeah.
Hodinkee on the dial.
Yeah.
And on the battery hatch.
Yeah.
Has a expansion bracelet with removable links.
Brilliant.
Right?
Brilliant.
I mean, come on.
Brilliant. It's like, so on my Oceanographer L, I've got an expansion bracelet, and it's difficult to wear that watch while I'm conducting because it flexes too much. It moves too much. And like, it's talking with Oliver, we got to remove some links from that so I can make it just a little bit tighter so that it won't move as much because it still remains a functional watch. Mm-hmm. Removable links, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It really is.
Yeah.
Miyota powered M230 quartz. Now I'm not 100% sure because some of these cues are the date, so I don't know if this has the phantom positions or if this is a true no date movement.
Right.
Feel free to do your research on that. 38, 11.5 thick, 18 millimeter lugs. I mean, the dimensions are right, but it's the same as my Snoopy Q. I love wearing it. It's perfect.
It's a good size. Everything about that watch works. Everything about it works. And like, you say what you will about Hodinkee, but their collaborations have always been solid. Like the people that have put together working from Hodinkee's side, working with the watch brand side, the meeting of the minds on just about everything that they have come out with has been pretty good. You can quibble about the color scheme, but dimensions, movement, case finishing, bracelet, strap combinations, they've really done well. They really have. Yep. I can't argue that one.
I'll agree with you. I think probably the only time tonight we'll agree.
Ooh. So would you have it?
So Joe, this $189 piece of steel perfection.
I'd take it. I'd wear that.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I'd wear that.
In fact, I said I was done buying watches for the year. I don't know. I have to go back on my word.
It might be.
Yep.
All right. So our last watch. Last discussion.
This is within our circle.
It is
a controversial piece.
It is, but we'll go. So we're talking about the Islander by Urban Gentry collaboration watch.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the shot. All right, Mike. My take on this is that.
No, before we start.
Okay.
Before we start, I feel like we need to say so long time ago you had gone on as a special guest with the gentleman from, who was it again?
SoCal Watch Reviews.
The SoCal Watch Review guys. Yep. And the Urban Gentry did a visit with Bulova. He went to the Bulova Museum, the Empire State Building. In part of that video was a clip of you on the SoCal Watch Reviews podcast.
Correct.
Okay. So
nice shout out.
We do appreciate that you made it into an Urban Gentry video because apparently, reason unbeknownst to me, people actually like this guy.
It's the accent, but that's beside the point.
So now that I've said that, now that I've said my thanks, let's move on to this watch.
Okay. So you look at the watch and you're immediately drawn to a couple of specifics. Mm-hmm. It is an Explorer dial. It is Explorer dial. It has a Ranger handset. Mm-hmm. So this is very Ranger-esque. And when you get into
not only that, but it's called the Rangemaster.
It is called the Rangemaster, and so we're harking, but we're talking about like a field watch aesthetic, okay? Yeah. And the field watch aesthetic, so you got the black dial, you got the supremely legible numerals. You don't need a date. It's the way that the watch comes across. Many people consider the 1016, the Rolex 1016, as kind of your perfect one watch collection. The Tudor Ranger hits that same aesthetic. It does it for a lower price point. So if I'm going to be designing a watch, to try to hit as many different quadrants as I can, That's kind of where I'm going to. We're looking at a stainless steel watch. We're looking at a stainless steel bracelet. We're looking, it hits and it ticks all of those boxes. How well does it do it, Mike?
This watch?
This watch.
Not very well.
Okay. Talk about it. 38 millimeter.
It's
lug to lug.
38.
So it's in that sweet spot. It's a 20 millimeter strap. It's still in that sweet spot, right? We're looking at 1016 vintage numbers here.
No, hold on. So a 20 millimeter lug on a 38 millimeter case is not a sweet spot. That's probably number one.
People will argue that one.
No.
People, you'd rather be an 18?
Anything below 40 has got to be 18.
You think so?
Absolutely.
See, I don't. Aesthetically, it doesn't bother me, and I think that on a NATO strap that would look really good.
It
doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me.
Is a design faux pas.
It is an aesthetic choice that you do not approve of.
Well, another aesthetic choice that I do not approve of is the overly bloated bezel that's on here.
There now you're into the right space, because when we start talking about the way the aesthetic works, like the bezel is really thick, so that makes the dial a little bit smaller. So that means that it's going to feel like it's wearing a little bit larger than it actually should be. And it's an interesting design choice. And that there was a choice that was made there between Islander and between our urban gentry.
It's a watch that looks like the way I feel on my fat days. That is what this watch is. It's misproportioned, overly bloated.
This is where the problems start to come in. And because you're borrowing so much from the design aesthetic of Rolex and from Tudor.
Well, and that's exactly it. That is
right.
So I was going to bring it up, but you already brought it up for me. So I will just piggyback on it and say,
go for it.
Islander watches, people seem, for whatever reason, to love the watches. And I get that Mark might be a nice guy, because everybody that's ever come across him, everybody that's interacted with him or met him says he's just the nicest guy in the world. Be that as it may, these watches are glorified watch mods. You can build this exact watch for far less than what he's selling it for.
Maybe,
and a better spec too.
maybe you can, but it's gonna, when it's gonna be a question of who are you appealing to, and who is your market, who's your demographic. This watch, I don't mind this watch. This watch, you apparently mind this watch. So
I mind the watch, but I also, it's the people behind the watch too. I just don't get it. I don't get the obsession with these two. I don't get the Islander obsession. I definitely don't get the urban gentry obsession. Which, by the way, if you like that sort of thing, you get that weird ass little dragon, the 6 o'clock portion of the dial.
In defense of the urban gentry, he's been to the Louisville Museum and you and I have not. So let's just.
Well, yeah,
I've been to the Empire State Building. They wouldn't let me up. I'm just saying.
However,
there's a very nice man. He guards the elevator. He said, "You can't come in." Like, but I. He's like, "You can't come in."
We also have a standing invitation to go. We just have to pick a time to go.
No. So the point, the issue that I have with this watch is not from a spec sheet standpoint. The issue I have with this watch is because it's really clear where it's coming from. And there are ways to do that for my aesthetic come across as a more complete whole. I get it. I understand why you're doing it. I understand where it's coming from. And I would certainly hope and sincerely wish that this is the absolute best execution that you can pull off on that. And I know that you went through iterations on it.
Oh, shit, I seriously hope this is not the best execution that they can pull off of it.
Well, but it goes to say, like, if this is not, then there are definitely ways that it could be refined.
Well, you know what though? The funny part is this probably is the best execution they could pull off of this, because they have deemed it the ultimate collaboration. That's what it says on the website. And for those of you that aren't watching and can't see Joe's face right now, he is agreeing with me in that the ridiculousness of the ultimate collaboration.
That might be a little steep.
Yeah, this watch is also limited edition, 500 pieces. It has sold out. There are 500 people that pair this overly priced, bloated watch mod. And on top of it, Joe,
you are making
come on.
friends, my friend. You're
top of it,
out.
it is only 100 meters water resistance, which I get. You will never use the full amount of that water resistance. But for crying out loud, why couldn't you have used a 200-meter case?
Well, yeah,
the cool part is, if I had to find one good thing about this watch, and I think you'll find this interesting as well, it has a Miyota 9039 true no date automatic movement, but the watch is only 10 millimeters thick.
It's good specs. It's good
No,
specs.
no. That is a good spec.
It's a good
the
spec.
38 by 20 millimeters is not a good spec.
Eh.
38, I get behind the 38. Thin up the bezel, shrink down the bracelet, change the hour markers on it. Don't make it look like an Explorer. If you're going to call it the Rangemaster, make it look more like a Tudor Ranger.
Well, they got the Calypso hands on that. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
As Casey would say, the
online want to bleep that out too. It's I don't know. So Joe, for this $369,
I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there.
Ranger.
I would go with a Citizen. I would go with a Citizen Dive Master.
It's a no for me. There's better things to spend $370 on.
Yeah,
and I know people, and probably more so than talking bad about Rolex and Omega, probably going to piss more people off by what we're saying about this watch, just because it's the Islander Watch Company and the Urban Gentry.
Potentially, maybe.
Now, I will say, not a fan of the Islander watches again. However, they did that limited release for the New York watch shows, the weird blue and white dial and the ceramic bezel,
the Zodiac watch.
Well, you call it the Zodiac watch, but whatever they actually call that thing. JP bought one.
Yes, he did.
I would, if I had the balls enough and knew him better, I'd probably ask him to borrow that for one of my vacations, because that is really one of the ultimate vacation watches.
You know what? I'll tell you this. That you ask him. I sent him a watch. He sent me a pole router.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I will say he did a good.
By twins. Come on.
So riddle me this: how can he do that watch? Really cool watch. Does not look like a watch mod. Looks like an actual watch that belongs with the rest of these other independent dealers that are at these shows, and yet he comes out with this garbage. Come on, you're going backwards.
He wants to get into that field watch space, and you want to do it in a way that's going to limit your exposure a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, because like we haven't had the discussion with either of those.
He should have limited that to 200 pieces then.
Wow, you are making friends, man.
I don't get the hype. That's all. I don't get it.
What are you gonna do?
We're media. We're allowed to stir up feelings, right?
I'm telling you right now, the Deep Sea Challenge is a ladies' watch. I've planted my flag there.
Oh,
all right. Last call. What do you got?
I don't know exactly. I forget. I probably had one. I don't remember what it was. Go ahead. You do yours, and if I can remember it, then I will talk about it.
I got a last call.
I know
my father, whom I love, has a single owner Hoyer Octavia Viceroy.
Octavia.
Yes.
Not Octavia. He's not the villain in Spider-Man. The Octavia.
Yes.
Okay.
The Octavia.
Yes.
He has one. He sent in the box tops from Viceroy. Mm-hmm. He got it for $88. And there has been a storied history of this watch. He would wear it when he would go jogging, but he wouldn't wear it on his wrist. He held it in his palm So he would
while jogging,
he would do that with it. I don't know
Really?
why. And
In case
he
he
fell.
fell.
And then he fell and it busted the crystal.
Oh,
And it took him, he put it in a box and he didn't touch it. Took him years. He sent it to somebody. They stole the bezel, sent it back and said, we can't fix it. He sent it to Hoyer. Hoyer fixed it. Hoyer fixed it for the price of about $2,500, $3,000. And but Hoyer fixed it with original parts. And this was years ago. Flash forward, watch is losing time.
Now this is just around the same page. The caliber 11 Octavia.
Yeah. It's and it's a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous watch.
The nice one. Yeah.
It's a really, really nice watch. It's one of those pieces that's like, man. And he said to me on multiple occasions, like, you just let me know. I'm like, that's not a watch for me. That's gonna be a watch for my son. And he was discussing what he wanted to do with it. He's like, it's losing time. And so he found somebody to do the servicing for it. This is the story, because I sent you a forward of his email that he sent me, and it is these pictures. And I saw the
pictures. Yeah.
It is the Pelican case that was sent. It is the watch that goes into the Pelican case. There is a closure on it, and then there is a Ziploc.
Oh, they sent him that.
They sent him that. That is from them.
Oh, I thought he did that on his own.
No. That is all from them. And then on top of that, there is a transponder in the case, and he has been getting updates. And this is where it gets better. He sent it to frickin' Chico in California. Chico, the garden spot of California. You don't even know where Chico is. It doesn't even hit onto the same level as Tallahassee.
Yeah.
It's right up there with like Bunny Kill, which you didn't even know was in Florida.
Okay.
So we've got a single owner, Hoyer Octavia, Viceroy, in Chico, that will eventually be on the wrist of my son at some point or other. And at which point he said, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this, because it's a vintage watch. It's 50 years old. I don't know. I don't think I want to wear it anymore. I'm like, it's like, I'm going to put it in the safe. And you're going to what? I'm just going to put it in the safe. It's like, okay. Let's back up a little bit. This should be your special occasion watch. Watches are like cars, because he understands cars. Watches are like cars. You got to wear them, or else things are going to start solid up. And then I mentioned, like, you could get a watch winder. I said, well, what do you mean? It's like, okay, send him some. This is watch winders. So he's going to get a single watch winder. It's going to go the other way.
Is he getting a good one?
I can't say. It's probably going to be a 45-degree one, but he's like, and he's like, I don't know what other watch I should wear, because I used to have this whole box full of quartz watches, but he sent them to my son. He's like, there's a bunch of really good options. Timex makes a bunch of them. He's like, okay. And he got an old man Timex, really good visibility, everything else. It's coming with his watch winder. And so when his watch comes back from service, which it probably only needs a tune up, it shouldn't need any parts, because it just has stuff from Hoyer under 5 years.
Okay, but how much is the courier service costing?
The service and the transport was going to be like $600.
That's not bad. Actually, that's actually really not bad for that watch.
It's not bad. It's not bad, except that he's coming to visit me next week after. It's like, we could go up to Magic Hands.
Yeah.
Right up the road. We could save you $600, just saying. But he's old. What are you gonna do? That's my last call. That's what I got.
We can just end on yours.
That's fair. You shared your new pieces with me. I can share my last call with you.
You know what, Joe? That's why at the end of the day, we're friends.
Sharing is caring, Mike. Sharing is caring. So, How do they reach us, Mike?
So this evening, Joe, you and I, we are the Springbar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Springbar Podcast. You can email us to springbarpodcast@gmail.com. On a personal level, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one long word, 120 clicks. Joe?
I am Watch Taylor Youth, all spelled out, one great big long word. And you can also hashtag us at the Springbar Podcast. We'd love to see your watch shots. We'd love to see your daylight savings time shots. We would love to see your drink shots. We would love to see your sock shots. We'd love to see your dog shots. Anything that you want to tag us in.
What are we picking this week? So we've asked for dog shots. We've asked for socks shots. We've asked for Halloween shots. What is this week going to be? What are we picking?
Shopping. You're going to the grocery store. I want to see you in the frozen foods. Show me the produce.
Take that grocery store shot. Then post it up. And all you got to remember is hashtag the Springbar Podcast. We are sorry. Our podcast name is too long for you to type out, but it doesn't take you more than 2 seconds.
Also true.
Just do it.
Voice to text.
What's the text? No, don't do that because it'll tag something else. Who knows what you'll get? Well, I guess on that note, Joe.
That's it.
Until the next time when people don't want to listen to our unsolicited opinions on watches that apparently everybody else seems to like.
Also true.
Cheers.
Cheers.